Hey, everybody, welcome to the FreeMind Podcast. It is Tuesday, February 20th. We have Sam and Dave from Three of Strong Spirits out in Portland, Maine. We're covering all kinds of topics from the history of rum all the way down to current events of them moving into Massachusetts. So let's jump right in and check out Sam and Dave's story. Tell me a little bit about the story. Take me from the day you guys all met. Go really into that and don't hold back on any of the nitty gritty, because instead of a family business, we just had we got two friends that I'm sure will be ribbing each other while we're talking about it. So go ahead.
Yeah, we were friends before we were business partners. As you mentioned, we both, have shared a love of aged spirits and rum in particular for a really long time. We live in the same small town just north of Portland in Maine, and our, families have known one another. As I said, we've been friends. Um, my background is as a lawyer, trademark lawyer, and worked with a lot of brokers in Maine and elsewhere. But my first love was always on the spirit side, and as I said, rum specifically. So I guess it was 2018. I reached out to Sam in a moment of weakness for him and pitched this idea, and I'll let him tell you a little bit about his background.
Yeah, on the good days, Dave brought me into this, and on the bad days, it's all my fault. But I will say that when he invited me to have rum at lunch one day, I had no idea where it would lead, and I had just come off a self-entitled sabbatical. I had a company for a number of years selling research and analytics to financial professionals. So not your normal pipeline to this industry, but Dave asked about rum at lunch, and I thought, day drinking, great. I got nothing else to do. And when he said, do you want to go into distilling? I didn't really know. I love the concept. I had no idea what that would entail. And if you ask around, people may say I still don't. Though we're 5 years in, it's really a fascinating industry. It's one that we are have definitely learned a lot in the 5 years. We did a lot of diligence since we both had sort of jobs that used to have a lot of background research done. So we did a lot of diligence in advance of going into this, and luckily we also know ourselves well enough so that when we had some people give us the advice that we would be fine making our own rum via trial and error when you start out. Luckily, given the fact that our business was in operation for 8 months before the world shut down, luckily we knew ourselves well enough to say, that we could do that. It probably wouldn't be that good. And so we basically redefined ourselves. We were very fortunate to have a connection to Graham Hamblett, who is our lead distiller, who has 20 years of experience. And we brought him in as a consultant as soon as the engineers started asking us about where things needed to be and what size tanks, and we realized we were completely out of our element. So Graham has done an amazing job, and luckily, because of his presence, we had good spirits from day one that we were proud of and that people could get behind, because honestly, if we didn't do that, we probably wouldn't be here talking about this today.
Excellent. Well, that's a really great point. And that's something that is an ongoing theme here as people are seeing those successes, is understanding where your strengths are and where you can bring the most value to the business you're creating, and then where you need to step back and bring somebody else in. And obviously those that figure that out earlier are going to have a lot more of an easy conversation to talk about it. So that's a huge, especially for the time length you guys have been open, to realize that as soon as you did, You're definitely right. That's fantastic. That's how we got you on the ground running for sure.
We're excellent delegators.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Limitations. We know these. So yeah, it's helpful. But seriously, I mean, yeah, as Sam said, Graham has been amazing, and really, a lot of people would think, oh, three of strong spirits, it must refer to you three guys, and it could, but it doesn't actually. The name comes from an old rum punch recipe. So, and you may know this already, Nate, or some of your listeners might, but a lot of people don't know that New England was really a center for rum production during the colonial period, and Maine in particular had 20 rum distilleries for a town of like 10,000 people in 1850. So that name, which is, as I said, an old rum punch recipe, 1 of sour, 2 of sweet, 3 of strong, and 4 of weak, that really is a call out to Maine's history in rum, and also calling out the idea of bringing people together around a punch bowl, because community is a huge piece of what we wanted this thing to be from the beginning.
Absolutely. And you can see that resonating in your marketing. I mean, each of your different packages, kind of talk a little bit about where you came up with the names, and I'm going to make a jump that there are locally assorted terminologies and things like that to bring your culture wherever it is your product's going to go.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, every one of the products really has a story, but we wanted those stories to be tied to, in a very real way, with where we're from, not just rum generally, but to take one example, our spiced rum is called Merry Meeting. And so that evokes, bringing people together, the joy aspect. But Merry Meeting Bay is also a real place in Maine on the coast. So, the label art is going to reflect that. All of our branding, we work with a really great agency in Lewiston, Maine called Anchor. And at the beginning, we told them, look, we want this to speak to where we're from, which is Maine and northern New England, but no lobsters or lighthouses, please. So they really did a good job of that. I mean, it's they're not just coastal scenes and places that we reference, but kind of gives the whole breadth of what this part of the country is all about.
Yeah. One of my favorites on the of the SKUs that we have is called portage, and portage is a canoeing technique when you go from one lake to another and carry it over land to get to a different body of water. So that's what our gin, our sugarcane-based gin, is called portage, and sort of evokes that same image of something that we sort of have a camp vibe. One of our early people we talked to in the diligence process was a old school sailor in Portland, and he walked in and he looked at our setup and our decor, and he said, "Oh, I get it. You're trying to bring rum to the mountains." And it absolutely is true. It's that idea of the punch bowl, sitting around the campfire, are really the core elements for us that we are very pleased with. I apologize, my dog is barking in his sleep. So if you hear that in the background, that's going on.
That's all right. In post production, nothing's live. I can take the noise reduction out of it, and when I lay the tracks down afterwards. Yeah, I have a bloodhound that I have locked up, and I can hear a whimpering, and I don't know if you can, so you're good.
No, we're good.
Yeah. For portage, that's one of the things from a design standpoint. Your brand, the thing I like about it is I like when brands are consistent across it. So when it sits on a retail shelf, it's a billboard. You know what I mean? It's like, and for you, it's a little different in the spirits world because sometimes your category, set up in the liquor store, so you might not be next to each other. But if there's a time where you're in a place when you have that opportunity to have the whole family of brands together, you're a giant billboard. And I think sometimes things get lost in the art. While I love the art, and that's one of the main things that drew me to you guys. And I was telling I was telling Dave in the very beginning, I'm 30 years of traveling every summer to Maine with my family and stuff like that. I actually know your brand, have been there, everything as far as that goes. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring you guys on. And especially for the aspect too, and back on your canned cocktails, a lot of times when people make that line extension, you go too far away. And I think you guys did a great job from the year-round products to your limited releases, making them different yet the same. So it's different yet you can still tell the supplier and still tell the brand cohesively. And when you get out into the RTDs, it's the same thing. It's just different enough to know it's a different package, it's a different product, but it still comes from the same place. And I think that's a challenge for a lot of breweries, wineries, distilleries, any CPG. It's a hard thing to do. And I think it is credit to you guys for the vision. And as far as that goes, and the designer you worked with, because it brings it together very well.
Yeah, Hank's done a wonderful job for us, and is also a good example of us working with the community, working with the Maine community. We have so many partners we've worked with that have been local, everything down to our still maker, who made his first. We are the first still that he ever made, and it's really exciting because it was just working with the local community. Being part of it is really such a big part of our mission, our goals, and so to find great practitioners that we can partner with is really exciting. So we are very pleased with that. And one of the other things with the ready to drinks on that topic is we're really proud that on each can and on the bottom of each carton is a call out to the specific rum that goes into the RTD. So many of the ready to drinks that are out there are, unnamed alcohol of some sort, and being able to put our own product into that not only supported us in sort of a cohesive market presence, but also allowed us to make the most important thing about the cans is make them so that you could actually taste the spirit. We're not trying to cover up anything in our ready to drinks because we know how good the base spirit is. So we just have to find a way to make them sort of line up appropriately.
That's actually, I didn't even realize that whenever I was trying it through. I appreciate that you bringing that out because that I don't know if anybody's doing that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they're real cocktails made with our real rum, and I think that is we lean into that for sure.
You're right. A lot of people do the toting out of Connecticut or Florida or wherever for the canned cocktail part just because it's not seen or paid attention to, and it's easy to slip it through and gain that extra margin. But you're right. If you're actually the one producing it, why would you not want to sell it to yourself and make that happen? Yeah.
I mean, we're never going to be able to compete with, insert your mass brand here, name, and on price. So for us, there has to be that, that's something extra. And one of those things is the fact that, it is our own organic rum that's at the base of these cocktails.
That's perfect. And being an organic rum, that's a great opportunity too, that people can see that there's quality going in. They can understand where their products are coming from. And it's not coming out of a tanker truck, out of some giant facility, an ethanol facility or anything like that. So with the RTDs, as you said there, do you guys, as far as this goes, if listeners are outside the area and they have never been up to New Hampshire and never been to Maine, talk a little bit about the culture of those areas and how that resonates to those brands. Because personally, for me, I mean, I love the driving down New Hampshire and stopping at the liquor barns. I mean, that's my favorite thing. I know every tourist says it, but it is the favorite thing in the world. So that's where I got introduced to your products over the past couple of years on our trips up there. And I really I want you to talk about I want you to go with the outdoorsiness and then talk about how that's part of the greater culture there and how it is then on the actual packaging. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean, the outdoors it's just a huge part. It is a huge part of the culture here in Maine and in northern New England. And that to us translates to really well to the RTD space, because as much as I love to, mix up a cocktail, it's a lot more convenient to bring these cans with me if I'm camping or something like that than it would be to, lug 750 milliliter bottles and, simple syrup and try to whip up a cocktail on the trail. So really that's a lot of, a lot of that piece is born out of wanting to, have products that do reflect our kind of outdoor culture here.
And because most of our beaches, not all, but almost all of our beaches are very rocky, the bottles also are a challenge there too. So it's not just going into the mountains with a bar kit. It's even our beaches are treacherous for glass. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a big part of it. And one of the things about Maine is that no one lives here by accident. You don't just sort of end up here. You have to choose it. And one of the things you're choosing in doing that is being in an area that just highly valued. There are parts of the country that are absolutely the same in that mindset. I think Colorado, Montana, places that people understand that you are really part of part of close to nature and always finding your way into it. And it's not necessarily the easiest thing a lot of times to deal that close to it, but it is something that is just baked in for us. And if if you know it, you love it. But you don't get here by accident because you have to choose this because it's not the easiest path either.
Absolutely. One of the interesting layouts too, like similar to from a geographic and topographical area, Michigan, let's say, is one of those places where it has lakes, but they're really, they're mini oceans when it comes down to it. One of the I laugh every time when I'm in Maine and everybody's like, oh, the ponds. And, and down south, a pond is in your backyard or whatever else, but you have lakes that you call ponds. So there's a whole different area there. And it's actually, the terminology is great and it brings a joy to, and if you're into fishing, canoeing, kayaking, any of those things, you're not short of opportunities in Maine. So it's seeing that portage on the bottle definitely speaks volumes there.
For sure. And I would say too that being in Portland is the place where we started. It's got a well-deserved reputation for being a great place for food and beverage. So we've been the beneficiary of people who come here for food tourism, and they've heard about some of the bigger breweries, Allagash or Maine Beer Company, and introducing those people to what we're about has been a real joy too.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk a little bit about for yourself. We'll start with you, Dave. Talk a little bit about your life prior to this. So you guys started right before COVID, about a year before COVID or so, a little less. Your whole life prior to that. Just give me a little, because our audience will still want to hear that. So tell me without naming names. Give me some goods from the trademark world. We're working with breweries, so give us a little 5 minutes or so, a couple minutes on your story.
Yeah. Well, so I'm, as they say in Maine, from away. So I'm not actually. I married a Maine girl, and as I tell people, I wasn't lucky enough to be born here, but I was smart enough when I got here to want to stay. But I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I grew up. As I said, with interest in spirits, members of my family in the illegal distillation business, I'll just say. But I went legit, went to law school, decided I should get, a real job kind of thing. But yeah, worked with a lot of, when I started out working with breweries, there were, I think, three, and this will tell you partly how old I am, but there were, I think, three breweries at the time in Maine. And now I believe they're either like 157 or 162 or thereabouts. So that landscape has just exploded. And one of the things I love about both the brewery culture and also the distillery culture too is it's really collaborative. I think we collectively understand that there's throat space for all of us. Really, our competitors are not fellow brewers or fellow distillers. It's really, honestly, our goal, and what I think we've been able to achieve, is to have some of the same success in craft distilling that craft brewers have seen, in that if people want to drink local, if people want to drink something that's a little bit different, reflective of place, they're going to seek out, sort of the local options, as we are. So that's a long-winded answer, Nate, but that's kind of how I ended up in this space. I just really I like spirits, I like food and drink, and yeah, it's about as simple as that. I mean, we have other reasons why we think rum is a good category, a good, from a business perspective, a good place to be. But at bottom, Sam and I love rum. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
And Sam, how about you? Tell me a little bit about your life before you got caught into a meeting, a day drinking with Dave.
So, I, again, a pretty different path. I sort of cut my teeth in financial services space and got drawn into the at the time called the social responsible investing space, which I was an analyst in that for a while. That sort of morphed into environmental, social, and governance space, and I founded a research and analytics firm that incorporated that information and sort of made it a democratic choice. People could choose what factors were important to them, and they found the companies that matched up with them. And I did that for 16 years, sold it to a firm in New York, and then Dave came a calling. But I actually have a good tradition of rum. In fact, most of my friends said, of course you went into this. You've been training for this all your life. And there's definitely some truth to that. My brother found an old leaflet of a family, someone back in the 1700s who was distilling in a bill of lading for a family member's distillery in Somerville, Mass. So, and I grew up outside of Boston, so that was pretty fun. Have someone on the Charles River who was distilling in the family background. So, though, again, my strengths definitely lie more in the drinking of than the producing of. But it's so funny because rum, and we talked a little bit about, Dave talked a little bit about what rum can do as an opportunity and what we see in it. It was fascinating to us to learn how few people even thought of the concept of a sipping rum, of a rum being something that you are able to just have on its own. People had just been conditioned to think of things being in mixers and things being, and rum being something you had to, short form, cover up in order to, to have a cocktail that you could deal with, which is also what led to the, something that we also were not expecting was how many people would come to us and come to a rum distillery and specifically say, I don't like rum. I had a bad experience. We've always made the point that by definition, a bad rum experience is by definition starts with bad rum. So if you can avoid that step, you can have a good rum experience. It's great. And one of the ways
we always say drink less, but drink better.
Right. And we also were able to, with the sort of love of the aged spirits, we got a lead on a family distillery down in Barranquilla, Colombia. And since we didn't have a time machine in our business plan, we wanted to have something that was an aspirational rum in our portfolio. So this family distillery, Dave and I went down. This was part of the the work-life balance of going down to Barranquilla, Colombia to check out a distillery. And we just got this amazing rum that we still have in our portfolio. It's a Chondo 12-year-old rum. And the nice thing about that from the quality of spirit relative and the value of the spirit is that 12-year-old rum, 750 is running $50. which is amazing when you think of what other 12-year-old spirit runs for in other space, and that's something we think is an opportunity. Rum has both the super premium and premium categories are growing quickly in rum, which is sort of where you want to be, and the value offerings are going down. So it's a good, even if rum might look to the outside eye as a relatively flat in space, it's moving in the right direction towards the higher quality offerings, and that just frees up so many opportunities in your cocktail palette to have that. And it's one of the other reasons we love rum is so many different. We have 6 SKUs right now, and none of them 6 rum SKUs, and none of them step on each other. They all have different purposes. They all have different flavors. So they and none of them are flavored. We have the spice, we have the dark, but at the end of the day, this is not flavorings. It's just a different approach and can be used differently. And we're very proud of that, having that Skittles array of rum options in Maine. In the Maine offerings is great.
I like that. And so anybody that comes into the area, you guys have just let them know if they're looking for your products. Obviously in New Hampshire, it's very easy to find products. It's very easy to find. In Maine, it's, there's stuff a little bit in sporadic places, but also on the good side is in Maine, there's alcohol related for to go in random places you wouldn't think. So if you go into those little tourist towns and as you're in there, you might be in a little market and all of a sudden you see your stuff in there. So if you're looking for the products, hop on their website ahead of time. They got a great find a store app inside of the website for be able to type in your zip code or wherever you are and find stuff near you. So definitely, if you're not able to make it directly to the actual facility, on that website there in the find in store section on top, you can get through there. But yeah, just a little tidbit there as people are driving around in Maine, realizing if you're coming from a control state, or you assumed when you drove through New Hampshire it was going to be as easy to find everything, you got to run around a little bit. So.
Yep, very true.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you both taking the time. I keep these podcasts really short and sweet, kind of keep them under 30 minutes at the end. That's the way it's a digestible thing, and I try to release them multiple times a week. So I appreciate both of you guys taking your time. We have about 5 minutes left or so. Do you guys have anything else that you want to push, and as far as that goes, of upcoming things or products or events or anything like that?
I mean, I think I'll just jump in with one thing that, we're excited about, both in the in terms of new products in the RTD, the ready to drink cocktail space. We're expanding our lineup right now. We have 2 products. We have a mojito, which is made with our Brightwater rum, and a Stormy Night, which is made with our dark rum Nightwater. We've got 2 more RTDs that we're going to be rolling out: a pineapple mate rum punch and a hibiscus lime rum punch. That'll be coming out in early 2024. And then related to that, we're also, in terms of expanding things, we're looking to head south into Massachusetts next year as well, which has been in our mind for a while, and 2024 is the year we're going to make it happen. So
that's awesome. That's quite the jump, and getting excited to see the more you guys grow and the more you guys expand through 2024, 2025. Sure enough, in the Mid-Atlantic, we can all access it wherever we want. So really excited to see your all's growth. Thank you so much for taking the time to tell your story. Looking forward to everybody checking you guys out. 3ofstrongspirits.com is the website. You guys are based in Portland, Maine, distribution in Maine and New Hampshire. Check them out on their website. Thank you guys again so much for your time. And remember, if you're looking for a ready-to-go drink, I know it's all crazy out there and there's a million of them, but if you want something that's different than the standard vodka, ready-to-go canned cocktail, or anything else that's out there, check these out with the Maine Mojito, the Stormy Night. Fantastic, unique SKUs, and 2 more auditions coming up in 2024. So thanks again, gentlemen, for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Are you looking for a way to grow your business, reach new customers, and increase your sales? If so, you need the FreeMind Group, founded in 2008 and a provider of creative and strategic solutions for the food and beverage industry. Whether you need branding, marketing, product development, or innovation, the FreeMind Group can help you achieve your goals and unleash your potential. Visit our website at thefreemindgroup.com and get a free consultation today. Thank you for listening and see you next time.